Hello everyone. So what we're going to do in this video is I'm going to go through how I create a hyperlinked Google Slides lesson. Some of you may know how to do that, some of you may not, but in summer school we always gave our students Google Slides that go through everything, and then we had hyperlinks in them, meaning if you click on the link it takes you to a specific website. So in this video I'm not only going to go through how to do the hyperlink lesson, but then also how to go over, or I'm going to go over apps like Padlet, Edpuzzle, Desmos, Google Forms, how to use those, and then how to link them in. So before we get started, this is what a hyperlinked lesson looks like. So the idea is that the students would present it to themselves, and then as they work their way through, there will be these links that will take them to different places. So if I click here, it opens up a Google form. Or if I go back and I click on a link, here, it'll take me to another Google Slides lesson. So that's kind of what we're going to be going over. I have a sample one that I will share with all of you that I've already gone in and done all the slides for. So normally we would have some type of intro slide. You'll see my Bitmoji throughout everything. And then we'll get right into it. So the first slide, as you saw, was the link to a Google Forms survey. So what I do is I write this little text box and I always put the word here, and that's where we're going to put in our hyperlink. So let's go ahead and do a Google Forms survey. So you just go ahead, you go to Google Drive, you click new, you do survey, and then I'll just call this sample survey. It's pretty simple to make for those of you who don't know how to do it. You can do sample survey. You can put in a description, which normally is, please answer all questions, whatever, You can change the color of it. I've uploaded images of my Bitmoji and stuff. So I might go to upload and then go to discovering geometry, and I already have a screenshot of a background that I can upload, right? Something like that, or I might just choose a color, something like that. We'll get into that later. So for beginning of the year survey, it does collect their email addresses, but normally I just ask for their name, first and last. And normally when you're doing this, it will auto-generate to the type of question that you're asking. I'm asking for a short answer question. But these are all the different types of questions that you can have. So if it's a longer answer, multiple choice, checkpoint, checkbox, blah, 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 all of those. I do like to click the required button because then it actually makes the student have to answer the question before they move on. Over here, this just kind of shows you your other options. I'm just going to go over the basic, add another question. So after they do their name, maybe I say something like, how are you feeling about starting school virtually? Select all that apply. And I might do look, as soon as I say select all that apply, it auto-generates to checkboxes. And then I might, give them some options: excited, nervous, sad, whatever. You can always add an other option so that will give them the option of typing in their own response. Again, I click required. Let's say that I want to just duplicate this style question. I can just hit this button next to the trash can and it will duplicate it. Maybe I want to ask a question of what technology, do you have at home? And I can just say, Chromebook, I could say laptop, etc., right? Smartphone, blah, blah, blah. Let's say I decide I don't want that question, or actually I'd rather move that question up. If you go to these dots here, you can just drag it and move it and change the order of it. If I decide I don't want that question, then I can just delete it. So once I'm done with my survey, I'm going to just go over here to where it says send, and there's a link button right next to the mailbox, and I'm just going to copy this link, right? So now the link to my survey has been copied. So I go back to where my hyperlinked lesson is, and I know that I want to attach the link to the word here. So I'm going to highlight the word here. I'm going to right click, or you can, edit, whatever. And I'm going to go down to where it says link. So what I'm doing is now I'm linking the word here to the Google form. I'm going to paste where the link is and click apply. So what does that do now? Now what that does is if I click on this, if I present this to myself, or you don't even have to do it with presenting, but if I present this to myself or the kids present it to themselves, and then now click on the word here, it's going to take them to their sample survey. So this is the survey that you created. And let's just say, you know, I'll show you what it looks like really quick. I'm excited. I click submit. You know, now I'm done. On your end, you know, once the students fill that out, it will show up as a response. You'll see my email address, my name, and I clicked that I was excited. So that's how you would link a Google survey. Oops, let me get out of this. A Google survey to a slide. Yeah. Another thing that I like to do is some type of table where they have to practice typing into a Google slide. So again, to do that, you just go over here to insert and you go to table, and I just do, you know, a favorites list. So I just do a 2x5, let's say. And then maybe I'm going to have them do their favorite food, favorite color, you know, favorite animal. This is something that we used a lot in the school year where we might have a question and then they had to type into the text box, favorite sport and favorite, I don't know, season, whatever. You guys get the idea. You can change the size of this if you need to, whatever. So then what I like to do is, the problem with this is that a lot of students have the issue with like, where do I type? So I tend to take something like it says type here, and I'm just pasting it in. So the only problem here is that if they're in presentation mode, they can't type into the screen. If I try to click, it'll go to the next slide. So I just like to put a little bubble here that says, you know, exit out of presentation mode to type your answers into the box. So they have to hit the exit button or the escape button. And then if they click into here, then they can type in, you know, my name is Mrs. Angel, my birthday, blah, blah, blah. I do have to remind kids that you do want to delete where it says type here. A lot of them will be like, type here, and then they'll go pizza. And it's like, no, 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 like delete where it says type here. So that's just something else that you can add in. All right, moving on, let's talk about how to do a video using Edpuzzle. So Edpuzzle is a great app online that allows students to watch videos that are synced to their Google Classroom. You can go in and you can stop the video at certain times. You can pause it, you can ask questions, and then you can also see which of your students actually watched it. So here's my video lesson. We're just gonna talk a little bit about Edpuzzle. So to do Edpuzzle, you can sign up just through your Google, you know, your Gmail, whatever. So click I'm a teacher, sign in with Google, select your at FUSD K-12, and then it will actually sync directly with your Google Classroom. So once you're in here, you probably won't have anything under content, but you're gonna go to My Classes, okay? And you probably won't have any classes. But if you come over here to where it says add a new class, now you have to have your Google Classroom set up beforehand. This won't work unless you have that set up. I have my Google Classroom set up, so I'm gonna click add a new class from Google Classroom. Now, as you can see, I've already synced my CC3 and Discovering Geometry, but I purposely unsynced Algebra 1. So if you have Google Classroom set up, all of them will appear. You just select all or the one that you want to do, and all you're going to click is import classes. So what that does is now all of your students who sign up for Google Classroom will also be part of your Edpuzzle class. So the way Edpuzzle works is that you basically search for a YouTube video, and then you can go in and you can edit it. So I'm going to go to my YouTube, and we're working with Algebra 1 right now. So I'm going to go, I already did, you know, my YouTube video. I'm going to go ahead and get that link. See if I can get that. So here's my Algebra 1. I just made a little Powtoon video. So I'm going to just get the link for this video, copy that link. I'm going back over to Edpuzzle, and I'm just pasting it in the search box. Now, I'm using my video. You can find any video on YouTube, and it will work. So as soon as I click search, hopefully, there's my video. Welcome to Algebra 1, okay? Now what you can do is you can cut it, you can edit it to make it a little bit shorter. But what I like to do is I like to do questions. So what questions do is it allows you to stop the video at certain points and have questions be asked. So you hit play, the video starts going. And let's say maybe after this one, I want them to ask a question. You know, it says you probably have a lot of questions about how this is going to work. So at this point, I hit pause on the video, and I want to have an open-ended question. So I might say, what questions do you have about how this is all going to work? And I'm just going to hit save. So at that point, the video will pause, and that question will appear. So I'll show you what that looks like on the student's end in a bit. I just hit continue. Well, let's say I don't want to sit here through the whole thing. I want to, you know, zoom ahead a little bit. I have an idea. Okay, so here we go. So let's say I zoomed in, and this is where I want to ask a question. Maybe I want to, you know, test them. I'm like, oh, it says join Zoom on time. You'll be marked tardy after 5 minutes. So maybe it's a multiple choice question. Be like, according to this, or how about this? Our class starts at 8 a.m. So after what time will you be marked tardy? Sorry, English teachers, if that's not phrased correctly. So then I'm giving some multiple choice questions. 8 a.m., 8:05, I can add another answer choice, 8:10, and then let's say, you know, never, you know. Now, notice that you have X's and checks over here. I'm gonna make all these AMs just because it bugs me. This means that all 4 of these answers are incorrect. So I'm gonna check where it says 8:05, because after 8:05, they'd be marked tardy. And that means that if the students select this, they got that answer right. So I'll show you what that looks like. I hit save, and then I go on. Right, so continue, blah, blah, blah. So now I'm just gonna fast forward through. So maybe right here, I wanna pause again and just have a note. A note doesn't have any interaction with the kids, it just pops up. So I might say, we will go over how to sign up, how to use all of these in our first Zoom meeting, whatever, just so that they know, like, hey, here's a note. Again, I'll show you what that looks like. So let's say that's my last one. Oops, I just moved that, my bad. So let's say that's my last one. Boom, and it ends, right? I'm gonna move that back a little bit. Okay. Now, when it's done, oops, you're gonna go up to here where it says finish. And then here's the cool part. So this is already synced with your Google Classroom. But what you can do is you can assign it so that it has a start date, an end date, and a time that it's due. And all that does is it essentially keeps the students accountable for getting it done on time. So I am going to select Algebra 1. That's the class that I wanted to do it for. I'm going to say it's, you know, it's our first day of school. And, you know, we start at 8 a.m. So I'm probably going to open it at 8 a.m. And then I'm gonna make it due that same day by 4 p.m. So that just means that they're gonna have to do it. Prevent skipping means that you won't allow them to move ahead or back. So I'll show you what that looks like. I usually don't have it as posted on Google Classroom because, like I said, I'm hyperlinking it. So once that's all done, you hit assign, and all it does now is it's live link. Again, you can post it on Google Classroom, but I'm not a big fan of that. I'm gonna go to where it says share assignment, because that gives me that link that I want. You can also get an embedded code and like put it in there, but I like to do the link. So here's the link. Going back to my Google Slides lesson, double clicking to highlight the word here, right click link, paste the link. Okay, so what does that look like now? Now when I present this to myself, you know, I'm a student and I'm like, oh, it says click here. Guess where it's going to bring me? It's going to bring me to Edpuzzle and the video. So here's what it looks like if you're a student, right? Due date's right there, and I just click play. Now I have to sit through it again. Now let's say I'm like, oh, this is so boring. I want to go ahead. I can't go ahead. Also, if I click play and go to a different screen, it will stop the video. So it holds students accountable for like watching the video. So just kind of motoring. Okay, there's my first stop. Notice I didn't touch it at all. It automatically stops. So it says, what questions do you have about how this is going to work? And I'm a student, so maybe I'm like, I don't know, how long will we meet on Zoom? And I'm just submitting, and it says it's going to be graded later because that's going to pop up in the teacher portal. Moving. Oh, it stopped again. Okay, let's see. Our class starts at 8 a.m. So after what time will you be marked tardy? So here's the cool part. If they weren't paying attention, they could hit rewatch and it will play that section for them again. But let's say I'm like, ooh, after 5 minutes, oh, it's, you know, class starts at 8, so I'll be tardy after 8, right? If I click submit and that was actually the wrong answer, it'll show me what the correct answer was. If I had clicked that answer, then this box would have been green and it would have said like, yeah, you got it right, good job, or whatever. So that's that multiple choice. Oh, it stopped again. Now notice this is our note. It does say we will go over how to use these in Zoom, and there's no interaction. I don't have to type an answer. I don't have to select anything. I just hit continue. We use this when we wanted students to copy something down. So we might have a problem on our video, and we'll stop it with a note and say, stop, like, copy this down, click continue when you're ready to go on. So it just gives the students that time to write something down before you move on. Okay, now let's say I'm the student, and I'm like, oh, I must be done, you know, whatever. So I'm done. I'm just gonna exit out of here, okay? So I'm a student who just only watched part of that video. Now, when you go over to Edpuzzle as a teacher, and you go back to your content, right? You go back to your, I think it's classes. Yeah, here we go. So this is a due assignment, right? So now I, as a student, have watched this, and you'll notice that it has one new answer, but it doesn't show that it's been turned in. So I'm gonna click on this as a teacher, and that's me. And notice how I only watched 70% of the video. So it showed me, the teacher, that Stephanie, the student, didn't finish the video. And so you'll be able to hold students accountable for actually watching the whole thing. If I actually did finish the video, it would show green as 100%. I also have an answer to grade. It does show like how long will that answer, you know, here's my questions, and all of your questions will show up, right? And then also here's, you know, how many people got, you know, 100% of the people got it wrong because I was the only one. So this just kind of, you know, maybe I just want to mark everyone as correct. I don't actually put these in as the grade, but that's just kind of how that works. So again, you went to my classes, you went to Algebra 1 important info. Notice how, because I've graded it, that it's no longer written as red there. You can also just click on me personally and look at the student that, you know, I did the question right here. You can see where they stopped. They stopped right here in the last, you know, what is that, 40 seconds or so. And here's all the information about that student. So Edpuzzle is a great resource just to hold your students accountable. One, for actually watching the entire videos and interacting with them. And then two, the ability to pause the video for them, to ask them questions, to make sure that they can't open up another screen, something like that. Okay, so let's talk about how to do a Padlet. So Padlet is kind of like an online discussion board. It allows students to post almost as if it's like a social media. So here's my Padlet slide. I did include directions for how this works, and I already have my word here. So I'm just gonna go to Padlet.com, and I clicked login already. So again, I'm just gonna log in with Google. Why not? Okay, Now you won't have any Padlets obviously when you start because you haven't done one yet, but let me show you what it looks like first, and then I'll show you how to make one. So here's a Padlet that I have for my students. And it's, if I had a superpower, it would be blank because of blank. Now, I've already gone in and actually done it. So this is what it would look like if a student it logs in and someone has already done it. Now, to add to the Padlet, all you do is you double click anywhere in the screen. So all I did was I put my cursor and I double clicked. And now I can create my own. So let's say I'm gonna call it superpower. And I'm gonna say, I like giving my students a sentence stem, because then it kind of keeps everything unique, you know, or not unique, uniform. If I had a superpower, it would be flying, because I would save money on airfare. I doubt a kid would say that, but I bet you relate. Okay. What's cool about Padlet too is that you can add stuff to it. So you can add pictures to it. You can upload all kinds of things, picture from your phone. You can link other Padlets. I usually like to ask my students to add an image. We'll see if this works with my internet right now. Superpower flying. Let's see what comes up. I don't know. Sure, let's go with that guy. And then what it does to my post is it just adds an image to the bottom of it. So now if I click anywhere else in the Padlet, there's my post. If I had a superpower, it'd be flying. Now, I've also enabled students the ability to comment on other posts. So I might say, you know, I want you to do a post and I want you to comment on 2 other ones. So I might add a comment and be like, that would be awesome. What would you lift? You know, I also enabled it so that they could like other posts, but that's essentially what a Padlet looks like. Let's say as a student, I go in there and I'm like, I messed up. You can just press the edit button. You can trash it. You can make it different colors. The students kind of like to play around with that. So let's go over how to actually make one of these. So if I go back to my dashboard, which again, all I did was go to Padlet. I signed in with Google. I'm just going to go to where it says make a Padlet. I do think in the free version, you can only make so many. It looks like you can only make 8. So once you've made one, if you don't need it anymore, just go ahead and let's say I don't need this one anymore. I'm just going to archive it. And then it's in my archived area, but now I have those 3 additional places for new ones. So I'm going to make a Padlet. These are all the different types of Padlets that you can do. I usually like doing either a stream, because that's kind of like social media, or my favorite is the wall, because then it appears everywhere. I'll show you an example of that afterwards, but you can pick and, you know, figure out what you want. I'll do a wall. Now, what it does is it does give you a background already, which you can change later on. And then over here on the right is kind of like your dashboard. This is what you're going to be able to change. So let's say, here's my title. If I had, oh look, I've already done it. If I had a superpower, it would be blank because of blank. I do like putting the sentence stem as the biggest one because then the students see it. And then maybe in the description, I'll say, you know, what they have to do. Double click anywhere to add your post. And maybe I'll also put something in there about you have to comment. This is the address that we're going to come back to and be able to hyperlink. But let's talk a little bit more about what we can do. Wallpaper, I can change that by clicking this. They have colors, gradients, textures. Maybe I want a picture. It's a superpower. So you know, superheroes go into space. I'm going to make it space, whatever. Color scheme, you can keep it light or dark. You can change the fonts. Now here's all of the settings with posting. This one here allows you to see their name above their post, which I do like enabling that because then it actually shows you which kid did it. Otherwise, they would have to type in their name. Where do you want to see the post? Do you want it to be first to last or whatever? Comments. So if you are assigning this and you're requiring students to comment on each other's posts, you do want to enable those comments. If you would rather not do that and just have them post, you can disable it. Here are the reactions. So you saw that little like heart bubble. This is how I was able to do that. I enabled them to be able to like. Maybe they want to vote. They can vote yes or no. They can give a post anywhere from 0 to 5 stars, or they can actually grade it, which is pretty cool. I'm just gonna enable the like. Then down here, the content filtering. So if you do select require approval, then you as the teacher have to approve the post before it's sent. So maybe if you have a really rowdy group of kids and you don't really trust them to do this correctly, maybe you do that. I usually don't. But I do click the filter profanity, which means that they do use inappropriate language. It will identify that as inappropriate language and replace it with an emoji. So here are all of the things that I'm going to do with my Padlet. So I'm going to click copy to clipboard at this point. I'm just going to click next so that it saves everything. So I copied it to my clipboard. So let's go back to my hyperlinked lesson. Highlight the word here. Right click, link. And I'm just pasting the link from the Padlet. Apply. Let's see what this looks like as a student. Present it to myself. I'm going to click the word here, and boom, here is our Padlet. So again, as a student, I'm like, oh, double click anywhere, double click, and here's my post again. Let me show you what it looks like if you were to have an entire Padlet filled in. So I'm going to go back to just my dashboard. So if you click on this Padlet icon in the top left, it'll take you home. Okay, so this is one from my master's program. So this is one that's completely done. So this is what it looks like. This again was used with the wall area. You can see how everybody was able to upload a picture. I think the question was like, what are you doing with distance learning, blah, blah, blah. So this allows you to kind of see everyone. She didn't enable comments or likes here, but this is what it would look like when you were done. So that is how you use Padlet. Let's move on to Desmos. Now, Desmos is an online graphing calculator, so a lot of math teachers know about it, but when you go into the teacher.desmos, it actually allows you to create your own interactive lessons, and that could be used regardless of what you teach. So let's go ahead and go to what that looks like. So to do this, you go to teacher.desmos.com. If you just go to desmos.com, it's going to show you a graphing calculator, and then if you don't teach math, you're probably going to freak out. So teacher.desmos.com, you can just create a link. Again, sign in with Google. It's the beauty of Google. Okay, these are the pre-made activities. Again, they are mostly math related. So what I like to do is I like to go to custom over here on the left. And then I am going to create a new activity. So you can do a polygraph. A polygraph is like the game Guess Who. Students have to be logged on at the same time, and then they're interacting with each other. So you might give them a bunch of pictures of animals, and one student selects an animal, and then the other student has to ask questions, like type in questions, and say like, is your animal a mammal? And you would say yes or no, and the other student's eliminating. So that's kind of a cool thing, but that has to be done live. So it's a little harder with distance learning. I like to just go to new activity. So let's go to new activity. I'm gonna call this sample activity. And I always want it so that anyone can view because I'm gonna hyperlink this. And then I put in, usually what I do in the description is something like complete each slide in this activity and exit out when you are done. You do not have to click submit. I'll show you what that looks like. Create new activity. This is going to bring us to the teacher dashboard. Exciting. So all of the things that you can do, you can add into a note, a text input, there's your math, your multiple choice, blah, blah, blah. All I have to do is, let's say I want to do a text input. So that means the kids are typing in. I just click it and it appears. So here are the instructions. What is your favorite quote, right? Now, to see what it looks like, all I have to do is go up to where it says preview. And this is what the students will see. So maybe as a student, I'm saying, you know, do or do not, there is no try. And I click share with the class. Now here's what's cool about this. There will be other student responses that show up below the response that I as a student did, like, assuming that I'm not like the first kid. To enable that, you just click here where it says show students their classmates' responses. So if you want them to see other responses, you would enable that. If not, you would just disable that. So that's how you add in different things. Now, the cool thing about this is you can add in more than one element. So let's say I want to get rid of this. I'm just going to delete that component. And I want students to comment on a picture. So I'm going to drag in media, which means I can add a video or a picture. And I want them to comment on it. So I'm going to drag this over and notice how now I have the ability to edit it. So I want the media to be on the left and the text on the right. You can also move it where it's on top of each other, you know, text, media, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so one thing I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a picture in here. I don't think you can see this part, but I'm going to go ahead and put a picture in here that has students describing what they see. So here's a picture that I just found off the internet. It's one of those, you know, how many different movie references do you see? So how many movie references do you see in this picture, right? I want to enable other classmates' responses. So what does that look like as a student? I go up to preview, and this is what the students are going to see. So they see the picture, and then they can put in their text, lightsaber. Lightsaber from Star Wars. As soon as I click share with class, if other students were doing this, their responses would show up below. So that's one. Now let's say I want to go on to another slide. I just click this plus button in the top left-hand corner. Now I start over again. Another cool thing I really like is this ordered list. So this allows students to drag and drop some tiles in a specific order. So maybe I could say order these events from oldest to newest. And then, you know, which one do you want to be the top label? Which one do you want to be the bottom label? So if it's oldest to newest, you know, usually your top is your newest and your bottom is your oldest. So let's say, oh God, history teachers are gonna laugh at me. World War I, World War II, Civil War, Cold War? Question mark? And then as a teacher, you can also drag and change the order of these as well. So let's say I want to drag this. Okay, what does this look like as a student? Go up to preview. This is what the students will see. So if I'm a student, I'm like, oh God, let's see, I think the Civil War was first, and then was the Cold War next? I know it wasn't, I'm just trying to be a student. World War I, World War II, I think that's it. So as a student, this is what I'm putting. As a teacher, you'll be able to see their response. So I'll show you what that looks like after. Okay, let's add another one. Another cool thing that I really like is the sketch tool. So if I click sketch tool, this allows students to sketch. You can put a background, which for math teachers, you can put in a graph, which is really cool. You can also just put in a custom image. So I have a couple images here that, let's see, that I could use. Let's grab Mike Wazowski. And then maybe just for fun, I can say, draw a mustache on Mike, right? Let's say what that looks like as a student. So as a student, I have my sketch tool. I also have a line tool. So maybe I have like a really, I don't know, something like that. I can change the color. So maybe he's got some, you know, I'm just playing around here. Looks kind of weird, but you get the idea. So that allows you to sketch. What we did is in math, we would put an image and maybe they had to circle the correct answer, so they could like use the sketch tool to circle, or sometimes we would put in an equation and they had to use the sketch tool to show their work. So that's how that works. Last one I'm going to show you is my absolute favorite. It's called the card sort. So the card sort is essentially a matching activity. So there's a couple things you can do here. Again, math people, you can add in the graph. You can do some text. So let's say I want to, I don't know, I want them to match the quote to the person who said it. So do or do not, there is no tribe. And then I just click another math text and, you know, Master Yoda said that. I'm sure you all know that. And then maybe just like throw them off a little bit. I'd be like, Luke Skywalker. He definitely didn't say that. So what does this look like now? Go to preview and the instructions. Oops, I forgot to add instructions. Match the quote with the person who said it. I'm sure there's a better way to say that. Preview. And so as a student, I'm like, ooh, who said that? Do or do not, there is no try. I think that was Yoda. Or if that wasn't Yoda, I could grab it and go, that was definitely Luke Skywalker, right? Now, the cool thing about this is you can do an answer key. So if I do or do not, there is no try, I'm saying that's Master Yoda. Luke Skywalker just over there on his end. I can click done. So now there's a key associated with it. I'll show you what that looks like after. Another cool thing you can do are some images. So what I like to do is I like to upload images and then have them match them together. So as a first day of school thing, I give them images of like famous duos. Let's go in and put in a famous duo here that I'm sure most of you know. Da-da-da-da. And da-da-da-da. So it might be like, you know, match the person to his or her partner. Preview. So now they have to match these two guys together, right? Because they are a duo. And then at the same time, I can match Master Yoda to the quote. Let me go ahead and put that in my answer key. Now my answer key shows, you know, both of those. All right, let's say I am done. Oh, there's one more thing. Excuse me. One last thing. If you want to add some type of tip, so let's say I go over here to teacher tip and I go to student supports. So for this specific slide, the matching activity, maybe kids don't know what to do. So I'm just going to put drag and drop a card on top of another to make a match. So what this looks like now for the student is when I preview this, that little tip will show up at the bottom. Okay, now I'm done. I'm going to click publish. It's making my activity. Cool. Now, if you at any point need to edit your activity, you just go to those three dots. You can share it, etc. I go to create class code next. So what this does is now I'm going to get that link to put it in my hyperlink. So now I have a unique class code. If I was in a classroom, I would be able to give my kids this code. Go to view dashboard. You're going to have this screen. Now this is your teacher dashboard. This is super cool. I'm going to keep this open. Here's your code. Copy it. Go to your lesson. Hello. Highlight the word here. Right click. Link. Paste, right? We're pros at this now. All right, I am now a student, so I'm going to present this to myself. Click on here, and where do you think it's going to bring me? To my activity. It does have me ask for the name, so there's my name. I'm going to click go. Now notice I still have the dashboard open on my end as a teacher. So if I go to this dashboard now, you can see live that Stephanie, the student, is currently working on this. So we'll see what that looks like at the end. All right, here we go. What references do you see? Golden snitch in the air from Harry Potter. Share with the class. If other students were up there, I would be able to see them. Next slide. Order these events from newest to oldest. Definitely Civil War, Cold War, World War II. I know it's wrong. Don't hate on me. Draw a mustache on Mike. So let's see. I'm going to give him a purple mustache. Whoop, whoop, right? Next. All right, match the card sort. Okay, here we go. Those look right. Do or do not, there's no try. Yep, that was definitely Luke Skywalker, who totally said that. Remember, there is an answer key here. And I'm done. So as a student, I'm now done. So I would just X out of this activity. So now that we're in the teacher summary again, here's Stephanie's work. So dots mean that she completed the task. If it was left incomplete, it would show just as open. It wouldn't show that there's a dot there. Now this is the cool part. Because the matching activity had an answer key, whenever you see an X means that the student made a mistake. So if I click on that, it will show, oh, she actually did that. Let me show the answer key. This is what she got wrong. The green, she did match, you know, the people together, but the red is incorrect. You can also go to the question itself, and it will break down once there's more students. It will show everybody's here, and that shows, again, there's Stephanie. She matched 2 correct, 2 incorrect. Here's the overview. There's the mustache, so it'll show you all the mustaches, which I'm sure is funny. Here's the overview of these events, blah, blah, blah. Now, if I go back to summary, here's the cool part. Let's say the next day you want to share this with your class. You can click this anonymize, and it gives fake names. So now if I want to show everybody's mustaches, there's a fake name there. So it keeps it anonymous. So if I want to show all of the orders, or if I want to show all of the responses, this will just have a list of responses, by the way. It shows that. So again, Desmos is not something that is just for math. You can absolutely use it in other ways. And then the dashboard, again, just shows you, it'll have all of the kids' names here, and it's a really quick way to grade their responses. All right, so that just about wraps things up. One thing I also like to have students do is the ability to upload pictures. So in our lessons, we might have them do some problems on a piece of paper, and then we ask them to upload a picture directly into the slide. So I'll normally put, a place where we want them to take it or to put their picture. So for the first day of school, I'm gonna have them upload a selfie just so that I can see what they look like, or a picture of themselves. So they practice putting it into a slide, and then I just provided a link that shows them how to do that. So I literally just Googled how to upload a picture into Google Slides. This came up. So all I did was I copied from the search bar, or the whatever you want to call it, and then just linked it to the word here. Now, normally at the end of the Google slide, we'll put in some type of direction on how to turn in their work. So this was just a screenshot that we took. We tell them, go back to Google Classroom, click on the assignment, press turn in. Here's where you can leave a private comment. Now on the teacher end, let's talk about how to add these to an actual classroom assignment. So let's go over to my classroom, Google Classroom, and we're in Algebra 1, right? So I'm gonna go to classwork, and I'm gonna create an assignment. So we're just gonna call this sample assignment 1, hide your instructions. Here's the key part. You want each of your students to edit their own hyperlinked lesson. So when you go to add, and we're working in Google Drive, so we're gonna go to Google Drive. Normally it will just come up because you're, been working on it. So here's my sample hyperlinked lesson. Going to attach it to this assignment. Here's the big deal. If you just leave it as view file, students can't interact, meaning they can't type in, they can't edit it. They could see the links, but they wouldn't actually be able to edit it. You also don't want it to be students can edit file, because then all of your kids are editing the same Google slide, and that would be chaotic. So we always click to make a copy for each student. So what this does is now every single student, all 30 of your kids, log in, they click on this assignment, they have their own Google slide, their own presentation that they're working on. So then when you're going in and grading it, you're grading each individual presentation. So think about that pictures, right? Where they had to upload a picture of themselves. You're seeing 30 different presentations, and you just go straight to that slide and you can check and make sure every single student is able to upload a picture. You can also leave comments on their work in that sense. So now when I click assign, again, I didn't, whatever. You always want to put, some type of category with it, or what's called topping. Due date, I didn't do any of that. Now when I click on sample assignment 1, there's the Google Slides. It'll show you how many turned it in, how many were assigned, and then for each student. So that is it. That is how you do a Google Slide lesson. I really hope that this was helpful. If you have any questions at all, please don't hesitate to reach out. I'll put my contact info at the end of this. And again, it's all about just keeping something consistent for kids. So if they always know that they have a Google Slides lesson and to click on these links, it's easier, I think, than just adding a bunch of things to a classroom assignment, like click on this, click on this, click on this, right? So good luck with this year. I know it's going to be great. And again, if you need any help at all with creating this, please don't hesitate to reach out.